Hi guys, so today I'm going to be teaching you how to make strawberry rhubarb jam or sauce, you could call it, because it's not, I don't use pectin and anything like that. I use apples that are chopped up finely to thicken it up, because that's actually where pectin comes from, is the apples. So I'm going to teach you how I cut up the strawberries, step by step, everything to do and how to can it to preserve it for the whole winter, so that you can just eat your own homemade delicious stuff instead of buying jam from the store and not knowing what's in it and how fresh it is, and how, all these things. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut up these strawberries. Excuse me. And I'll show you how I cut those up. And then also, while you're cutting up the strawberries, what you want to do is you want to put your jars in the oven like this, and then put your oven on the lowest heat it has. So for me, that's gonna be, usually I put around 220. So then we press start, and we want the jars to be warm or hot for when we can. So we're gonna have the jars are gonna be warm, the jam's gonna be hot, and then we're also gonna boil the lids in some water. So first we're gonna just cut up these strawberries and then we will start to cook them. So I like to use this this kind of knife to cut my strawberries up. I just cut the ends off as much as I can, leave all the red, and just cut out any spots that are not too good. If it looks rotten, just cut it out. And then you can just cut these strawberries. These are pretty small, so I'm just gonna cut them in half into my big pot here. So this is gonna take a while. Obviously, I'm not gonna just sit here while I cut all these up. So I'm just showing you, some people have a tool to take the green part off of the strawberry. It's like a little pincher with claws. You can even use your claws and just rip it right out. Use your fingers if you like that. After a while of doing that though, I find my fingernails start to hurt, so I just prefer to cut them. And so I'm gonna cut up all these strawberries, and it's starting to look like this in the pot. And then I'll show you how to cut up the apples, and we just throw those in the pot as well. And the rhubarb, honestly, these are so small you almost don't have to cut them, because once they start cooking down, we'll mash them up and it won't matter. I like my jam a bit chunky also. I like little chunks of fruit in it. I use my jam for sauce on ice cream. Sometimes just like fruit sauce, like you would applesauce. My kids like to just eat it like that, just by the spoonfuls, and I don't use very much sugar. Only enough to help preserve it, and the rest is just natural fruit sugar. So it's basically like you're making a strawberry sauce, like applesauce. Look at this little tiny one. So that's what we're gonna do now. So I'll keep cutting these up, and then I'll bring you back when it's time to cut up the apples. So we'll be right back. I also just wanted to show you my big, beautiful bowl of strawberries. Look at that. Oh, I love strawberry season. These are super good. Support local if you can, but sometimes that's not affordable. So I actually got these at Food Basics for a really good price, and that's when I usually buy up a bunch, when I find a good price on them. And once the markets open up again, then we can start buying from there again as well. But for now, I'm just grateful to live in a country where we have all this beautiful produce available to us. So I'm going to continue to cut up these strawberries, and then I'll cut up the apples, and we'll check in again. So I have the strawberries in the pot with some sugar on low heat right now while I Squeeze some lemon. I put this in because it helps to keep the color vibrant. And it's good for preservation, and it tastes good. So I have a lemon squeezer. This is what it looks like after, totally empty. And here's my lemon juice. Now, this is a full half lemon, and I'm using 6 full pints of strawberries for this. So I'm gonna put the whole thing in. There we go. And we'll just stir that up. This is a lot of strawberries, so, you know, we're gonna add, I've already added 1/4 cup of sugar because I had to take a break. But now, I'm gonna add more sugar. So I'm gonna take another 1/4 cup of sugar and sprinkle that on. And then I'm gonna stir it. So now while this cooks up, I'm going to chop up some apples. And I'll show you how I like to chop the apples for this. All my ingredients are organic. But if that's not something that's achievable to you, it's still fine to make this with non-organic. It's still gonna be delicious. Haha. So here's my apple, and I'm gonna chop it, and then I'll show it to you how I chop it. So here's the apple, and I have cut one side off the apple so far. I'm gonna turn it and cut the other side of the apple off. And then you are left with this. So then I'm gonna cut that and cut that so that the core is gone. And so now we wanna chop the apple as small as possible. So I chop it again, I slice it a few times. And even again, be careful with the knife. You see that's almost like little fries with the potatoes, with the apples. And then I chop it super tiny like this. And I get that right into the pot with the strawberries. Oops. And we want those to cook right in the beginning. So even if you have that chopped up ahead of time, that'd be good. That's why I have my strawberries on low right now. So I've chopped that, sliced it thinner, and I'm gonna slice it into little slices. So you wanna have a good knife, and just please be careful when you're chopping things this tiny. It gets easier as you go along, but I've been cooking with my mom since I could hold a knife, so I just feel pretty comfortable in the kitchen. But it just happens, with practice comes a better outcome. So here we have super tiny cubed diced apples. So I'm going to do that to 3 more apples and then add them all in. There we go. Oops. We're back. And so now we're just going to take these apples and slide them into the pot. And there. And now we're going to do the same thing with the rest of the apples. You see, it's just getting juicier and juicier. You don't need to add any liquid. All the water from the strawberries makes it liquidy enough. Alright, so we're just going to leave that for a bit and keep chopping the apples. So next we're going to cut up the rhubarb. This is all I have left, so that's all I'm going to use. But also I don't really like it super tart, so I'm just going to use the rhubarb I have left. I've cleaned it, taken the leaves off, and I'm going to chop it as small as I can, like so. So this one's like soft, and you might just have to pull them apart sometimes. And if they're really thick, I would slice them in half first, like that, because I don't like big chunks of rhubarb. I like rhubarb, but not that much. So, chop this up. And I'm sure you know someone with rhubarb, or you can get it locally at a market, or everyone knows someone with rhubarb plants, I think. So there, that's chopped pretty small, and if it's not completely separated, just use your hands and separate it like that. Any big, long, stringy things I would just take out. Now, we'll put this into the pot. Just make sure they're all cut up nicely into little bits. And then put it in. Now, still have our oven on it, and now we've also started a pot of boiling water that we're going to put the lids in to make them hot to help us seal this jam. Once you get the hang of this, it really isn't that time consuming, and it's well worth the effort. So now we have the apples, we have the sugar, we have the strawberries, and we have the rhubarb. So now I'm going to turn the heat up. It's on low now. I'm going to put it to about there on my oven. I don't have numbers, but like between low and medium. You don't want it too high, or else it'll cook to the bottom. And then we're just going to let this cook for a bit. I know that I only have about a quarter cup plus half a quarter cup of sugar in here yet. So I'm going to add another quarter cup to my strawberry mixture here. And that's probably all the sugar I'll put in. Some jams you see like 6 cups of sugar in the pot, and I'm not a fan of that much sugar. And I also like to use this as more than just jam. So we're gonna let this cook down and put our lids in to the pot of water and let them boil, so that when this is done, everything's warm and hot and ready for canning. So we'll come back once this is cooked down a bit more and the lids are boiling. So as you can see, it's really cooking down now, and I took my masher now and I start to mash it up. And now the lids are in here boiling, and the jars are hot in the oven. We just mash away, masha. And then once it's mashed and cooked, we'll open the cans. Okay, so now we're ready to can. So I turn this down to low again. This is really cooked. Oh, sorry, the steam. There you go. That looks like jam now. It's super thick and ready to can. The lids are hot, the jars are hot. So I'm going to carefully grab a jar. I like to use these wide mouth ones because then it's easier to grab them, or to fill them, I mean. And I use a small ladle that I can't seem to find in this moment. Oh, here it is. Here's my little ladle that I'm going to use. You can use a canning funnel if you want. If you don't have a canning funnel, it's okay. I'll show you how to do it without it. Or if you have a canning funnel, you can go ahead and put that into your can and just start to grab nice scoopfuls of the jam. Put it in. It's much easier with the jam canning funnel, but if you don't have one, just take little scoopfuls, stick it in. It's just as easy when you're working with a wide mouth jar. It doesn't really matter because it's such a big area. Now, if you got any strawberry sauce on the rim, just take the paper towel and clean off. You want to make sure the rim is nice and clean. Otherwise, it'll be really hard to open it when it's time. Now you need some tongs, and you grab your lids out of the water and make sure the lid gets all the water off. Come back over here, and we'll take the lid out like this, put that on there, bring this on, It's all hot. Try to keep that seal nicely placed. This is where you're gonna need a cloth. And then just do it as tight as you can. I know there's a tool in canning that helps you tighten the lids, so if you have that, you can use that. If not, you can see we can just use this. And now the lid's on, and we flip it upside down. And we leave it. And when it's ready, it should be sealed. Now, always check. These ones I had done before, another batch. So if your seal pops up, that means it didn't seal properly, and just put that one in the fridge and eat that one faster. But these all sealed nicely. Here's a little jar that we'll fill up with the ladle, so you can see if we get a mess in there, how easy it is to clean up. Just take little scoopfuls. You're gonna want a little ladle if you're not gonna have a funnel, because it just helps. So this time I did get some on the rim here because it's a smaller jar. We just clean it off, and we want to make sure we fill the jar pretty full, but not all the way. This one's almost too full, but it should be okay. And we grab a lid, shake it off, come back over here. I like to just put the seal on first and then the rim. And now I grab my cloth, hold the bottom of the jar, and tighten. So that's nice and tight. Flip it upside down. If when you flip it, you hear a bunch of bubbles and air coming up, that means it's not going to be sealed. So I would just put that one aside and eat that one right away. And that's it. Let them sit like this for a couple hours. When they're completely cooled off, you just come over here, flip them right side up. There you go. It's pretty easy. You can do this with any fruit jams, the same canning technique. You don't need to bake the jam. You don't need to boil it now that it's canned. You just do this, and I find my jams can last up to 2 years. No problem, but 1 year is definite, and 2 years even. My jams don't usually last that long, so, but definitely I have my jams last like this for a year. So hope you enjoy. I hope it works out for you. If you have any questions, you can place them in the comments or contact me, and I can try to answer your questions. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy your homemade jam, and I hope that it's successful for you. Thanks for watching.